Hi, everybody. How are you going? Great. So I'm super happy to be here in front of all of you, and especially builders. And this tool is going to be super useful for you. Maybe not during the hackathon because it's close to the end, but after if you continue to build smart contracts. So I'm going to present you xSuite. xSuite is a tool to help you initialize, build, test, and deploy contracts in seconds. At Arda, we have been builders from day one. We built our first dApp in September 2021. We won the Battle of Fields. Back in the time, it was in November 2021. And since then, we never stopped building. We never stopped building dApp, smart contracts, front end, and also we have spent a lot of time auditing projects and seeing what developers do with the tools they are provided with. And one thing that has been very clear from the beginning is that developing contracts is hard, and it was especially super hard back in the time. Because you had to manually fund all your new wallets, manually set up all your new contracts. By manually set up, I mean that you had to create by yourself the structure of the contract, etc., set up all the tools before even being able to get started. Third, you had to test using JSON. So I don't know what you think of this, but JSON is quite a limited language. I mean, I don't know if you can call it even like a programming language. It's not, I think. It's super limited. Everything is hard with JSON. If you have like, for example, 50 JSON files, and you want to change something, you have to do it in all the 50 files. You have no way to quickly rename things, etc. There is no like tooling in the code editor generally, etc. So JSON is a very not convenient, I would say, file format for writing tests. And fourth, you have to use Bash or other scripting alternative to deploy contracts. And this, again, is not really very convenient. It's very error-prone, I would say. And this is the last thing you want when you deploy things and interact with a real blockchain. So developing contracts was very hard. So we thought we need to improve things, because we cannot spend so many time on these things. It has to be simpler if we want to really be able to ship fast and ship safe. So that's why we decided to simplify all this and started building xSuite. So xSuite is a tool made by builders for builders. It is a tool to help you save tens of hours during your development of smart contract and sleep better at night. xSuite has already been launched and battle tested for more than 1 year inside of Arda. We have wrote a ton of tests to be sure that xSuite works correctly. And recently, we published the whole documentation of xSuite, so it's really ready to use for you. And a lot of projects have already been starting using it, and have loved it so far. We have a ton of improvement that has been requested by people, and we are a little bit late on the backlog, but it shows that it's really a tool helping builders to build, so we are really happy about it. And you can find all information on xsuite.dev. This website contains all information, and also feel free to reach out to me during this whole hackathon event. I try to go in this room also from time to time to see if I can help. And if we don't have the time to catch up here, we can also catch up online on Telegram or Twitter, etc. Feel free to reach out. We can also have call session, I would say, like office hour, for me to help you go through xSuite and reduce your time learning it. So really, feel free to reach out, ask questions. I'm here to help. So xSuite makes the development of smart contracts way simpler. We have made 2 main contributions with xSuite. The first one is xSuite CLI. It's a command line tool that you use in your terminal that allow you to initialize, build, test, and deploy contracts under 1 minute. You see there are only 7 commands that you need in order to do all these things. And it's really just about executing these 7 commands. Like, if anybody takes his computer right now, execute these 7 commands, he will have, under 1 minute, a smart contract that is built, tested, and deployed. So it's that easy. The second contribution is xSuite Simulnet. It's a simulated blockchain that runs on your local machine, on your computer. And the reason we made this is because it has three main advantages. The first one is that because it is a server, you don't need to interact with JSON anymore when you do tests. You can basically interact with any language, and in particular, we have built a library to interact with the Simulnet in JavaScript or TypeScript, because JavaScript is the language that we know the most, and it's also the most used language in the world. So it's a good choice to start with this language. So first, you can test using JavaScript. Second, you can deploy using JavaScript, because the Simulnet reproduces the same API than the real blockchain. So a code that is able to interact with the Simulnet is immediately able to interact with the real blockchain. So it means that same, we can use JavaScript, the most used language. And third, and the most important thing, I would say, is that because you can test using JavaScript and deploy using JavaScript, it means that you can do both with nearly the same code. Like 95% is the same code. So it means that you only need to learn one thing. And then with this one thing, you will be able to test and deploy, and more, in the sense that you can do any interaction with a real blockchain, deploying, upgrading, interacting with your endpoints, everything. So here, it's very important. It's two main big improvements compared to the current tooling. First, you can test using JavaScript. Second, you can deploy and interact with a real blockchain using JavaScript. And third, it's the same code. You just have to learn one thing. So let's dive in xSuite CLI and show you how easy it is to use it. So the first thing is that you need to install xSuite. So with this simple command, and it takes just a few seconds to install it. The second, it's xSuite new. So with this, you are going to create a new contract. You can see on the right that the folder has been created. And this contract is already fully set up. It means that you can immediately after this start building your contract. You don't need to think about creating this file, this file, this file. No, you can already start. Next command, it's a simple one, just cd first contract to open this folder. The next one is xSuite install Rust. With this command, Rust will be installed with all the proper dependencies, etc. You really don't even have to care to think about Rust at all. Just execute this, and your machine will be set up for building your contract. The next one is npm run build. So it's with this command that you are going to build your smart contract. Building your smart contract means converting the Rust file of your smart contract into a WASM file that you will be able to upload on the blockchain. The next one, npm run test. This is crucial during the development of smart contracts. Sometimes it's not the thing we want to do. We want to build and ship, but we need to go to pass by this step because testing is so crucial. And it's why we have spent so much time improving the tooling of testing, because the more complex, the more painful testing is, the less likely you are going to test. And with JavaScript, you can leverage the whole power of this language, and it makes testing way easier, and therefore you are going to test more and make your contract more secure. And with this only command, all your tests are going to be executed in seconds. Next one. If you want to deploy on a real blockchain, you will need a wallet. With this command, it takes you just a few seconds to create your first wallet. Next one is a special one. Because with this command, you can do something super easily, but without this command, it's super hard, especially for a beginner. Because if you want to deploy, you need a wallet, but you need also really GLD or fake GLD on your wallet. And this step can be super confusing for users. Without xSuite, you will need to go on the web wallet, on the DevNet version of the web wallet, find the faucet, and click on a few buttons. And it is especially hard if you don't even know that a faucet exists, because you're a beginner, and so at this stage you will be completely lost. But with xSuite, it becomes super easy now. You just need to execute this command. We will open the correct URL with your wallet already loaded, and you just have to click one button, and it's done. You didn't even have to have any expertise in this now. And the last is like the final one. It's about deploying your contract on the devnet, and after this on the real blockchain, on the mainnet. And for this, again, you have just a simple command. So I can assure you, it's super simple. You just have to take your computer, execute these few commands, and you are done. You have your first smart contract deployed on the devnet and the real blockchain if you want. Now, second, let's dig in further in the test using JavaScript. So I've just put here a very simple contract. It's not important for you to understand the details. Just notice that there are a few endpoints, a view, and some storage mappers. And then we have some structures, like a more advanced data structure in Rust. And I'm just showing you to this just to show that xSuite is really able to work with any kind of smart contract, with simple ones and very complex ones. And I would say it's even more powerful with very complex ones because it makes it simple, even if the contract is complex. So, for example, what a test look like. So on the left, you can see that I do something like sender1.call contract, and I give the contract I want to call, the function name I want to call, and the arguments I want to call. And the arguments are really easy to specify. You just need to follow the definition, the type definition in Rust. And we have worked hard to make it to follow the same structure in xSuite. Like we use the same terminology, etc. So you just need to look at your contract to be able to call your contract inside of xSuite. And on the right, it's a bunch of functions that are optional. You don't need to do it, but that helps you to verify that the execution has been done correctly. For example, first, we verify that the return data by the contract is the correct one. Second, we verify that the sender one has the correct balance. The next one, we verify that the receiver one has the correct balance. And the third one, the fourth one, we verify that the contract has the correct balance and state. KV means key value, and it's the naming for the state for the storage, of a contract. So, and you can add as many asserts as you want. It's up to you. Now you have the full power of JavaScript, so you can decide to do what you want. If you don't want to assert this, you don't assert. If you want to assert more, you assert more. It's really up to you now to decide. And really, xSuite is allow you to test anything. Basically, for example, you can fast forward in time. You can say, now I want to be at epoch number 4, and it will immediately advance in time. It can go backwards too, of course. If you want to go back in time, you just need to specify the epoch you want to go back in time. And you can also test one very important thing, the failure of calls. Because it's one thing to verify that your contract works well in the good case, but it's also important to verify that it doesn't work or it fails in the bad cases. And this, you can do it very easily by using assert fail. Third, interact using JavaScript. And by interact, I mean deploying on the real blockchain, upgrading on the real blockchain, or interacting with your endpoints on the real blockchain. For this, you can also use JavaScript. And you can see that it's super easy. On the right, you can see I have just 10 lines of code. And with these just 10 lines of code, I have created the deploy method, the deploy command, So the deploy command would not exist if there was not this code I've written on the right. So what does it mean? It means that with just a few lines of more codes, I will be able to add more commands that are specific to my contract. So for example, if I want to upgrade, I can just add a few more lines of code, and immediately I will have a npm run interact.devnet upgrade. If I need to call a claim rewards endpoint of my contract, I can just add a few lines of code, and I will have npm run interact.devnet claim rewards. So you can really, in just a few lines, create your own commands that are really suited for your smart contracts and help you interact with the real blockchain faster. And faster and safer, I would say. And this is very important. Because one thing I didn't say is that I've said JavaScript, but in practice, you can use TypeScript. And with TypeScript, you have type safety that comes in that adds another level of safety when you are building your smart contract. And the last thing I want to really highlight is the testing of contracts and the interaction with the real blockchain is really about writing the same code. In this screenshot, you can see that expect the first line, all the rest is the same. Like, you just need to learn one thing, and you will be able to do everything. That's the most important thing, I would say. So to recap, xSuite CLI is a very simple command line tool that will allow you to initialize, build, test, deploy contracts in seconds. We also provide a testing library to allow you to test using JavaScript. And you can also use this library to interact with a real blockchain using JavaScript too. And the cherry on the cake is that you are going to use the same code for both. So, as I said, xSuite is already released, sorry. It has been used for a long time. It is already used by many projects. We have received great feedback. You can see all the documentation on xsuite.dev, and you can reach out to me during the hackathon, during the xDay, or later online. It will be a pleasure for me to answer you, to help you here. Thank you, everybody, for listening to me, and good building. And yeah, I think we have just maybe 2-3 minutes for question answering, in case you have any.
Yeah, we have a question here. Yeah, here.
All right, so I'm really interested about the testing part because you didn't show when it fails. When you develop something, you want it to fail. And right now, the most important pain point that we have is that, especially, okay, for primitive, you understand from the binary representation of the error, this is not equal to that. But when you have a complex struct, put it also in a managed list, and that has other structure, it's a pain as a developer to understand from the binary representation of that one. So do you show how is in human readable format from the contract when it fails, or are you still using the binary representation?
So that's a very good question. And I've said that we have a few points on our backlog that we are trying to work on, and this is one of them. But just on this, we have already a very powerful helpers to decode data. Just saying that with I've not shown it because don't much time, but with just a few lines of code, you can decode very complex hex structure. And so the plan is to push this even more to allow you to use it to debug when you are testing your contract. So right now it's still hex, but soon, I hope, you will be able to leverage the decoding helpers we have in the library to make it human readable.
So this will potentially help me if I develop my contracts in Rust. I can just get that hex from there and pass it through your tool, and you will also show me, so I'm not tied in.
Yeah, exactly. You can copy-paste your hex, put it in the decoder, and it's decoded.
Well, I have another question, but I can wait for someone else to go first. I'll continue. So the next question is related to, okay, how tied in I'm into your tools. Can I, like when I start my project, like you just develop like that, can I switch on how painful it is to switch to the pure Rust development flow right now using MXPy and the tools provided by the MultiversX?
So I would say that's a good question. Honestly, I would say it's very simple. I'm not 100% sure because it's not the thing I do every day. Like, I've been using xSuite for a long time. But just to give context, we support also JSON files. I mean, I've not shown everything, but xSuite CLI is very powerful in the sense that if you want, you can still use xSuite to test with your JSON files, for example. Or you can build and test Rust files. Like, OK, you have several commands. One of them is test Rust. So it will execute your Rust tests. One of them is test sen. It will execute your JSON scenarios. So what I'm trying to say here is that we have worked hard to make xSuite work with the tools you already use. And probably a lot of people already use Rust for testing and Mondos and scenarios for testing also. And so it has already the commands to work with this. Does it answer your question? Or?
Yeah, it does. It does.
OK, great.
Thanks.
One more question, or we are? Okay. I will repeat if, oh, okay, as you want.
It's related to the previous question. So when you are using Rust behind the scenes, right? Or Rust APIs from the original implementation. If there is something new in the Rust implementation, you have to upgrade the xSuite APIs to support that. Or if there's, from what I understand, you are using the Rust implementation. It's just a wrapper in JavaScript, right?
So it's not a wrapper. Our tool is not based on the Rust one. It's based on the real blockchain. So, and the real blockchain is built in Go. So xSuite simulates the real blockchain on your machine. By simulate, it's not like exactly implemented the real blockchain, but I'm just saying that it's not doing the similar thing as Rust. Like we go from the real blockchain and try to make.
That means it's independent, and you can go like you can add new features on the real blockchain.
Yeah, well, but basically, in our Simulnet, we import a lot of Go code from the real blockchain, and right now we are trying to make. I mean, the goal will be to make a Simulnet that really reproduces exactly the real blockchain. But right now we are not able to do this because if we want to reproduce the real blockchain, we have each transaction will take 6 seconds to execute, and because of this, tests will be super slow. Right now they are instant, so we have had to do some changes. We cannot take the real blockchain as is, but we are working with a team to try to have the real blockchain with just the transaction being executed immediately and a few slight modifications. But I don't have all the knowledge read by myself, so we are working with etc. But if I have to simply answer, basically we are trying to really reproduce the real blockchain. And so it's the Go code that we are.
Nice, it's independent, cool.
Okay, thank you everybody for having listened to my talk, and it's a pleasure to discuss with you just after. Thank you.